saw the urinal laying on its back, I knew I was in deep trouble.
Wait, where'd you see the urinal?
There was a urinal on display at the MoMA in San Francisco.
Oh, well, sure. That would be an icon in this city, a urinal. After all, it's used for many different things other than bodily functions, of course.
and the nice Midwest ladies, they were asking, did somebody make this? Why is this on display? We don't understand.
Yeah, well, see what I say? There's no culture here to speak of. It's a joke. It's something out of a deranged mind. You go into once-great museums, and you find almost nothing to look at except traditional collections of art that have been there for a long time, which I love. But the tourists don't go to the traditional collections. They go into some major rooms and they see the shoes of a Yenta who died and left money to the museum. They call that, or a urinal in this case. They put that in the museum. I understand. There's no art here, so you're coming here for something other than the art. What do people come here for? The weather, the beauty, the fog, etc. And that's all beautiful. But that's not enough to sustain a tourist industry.
Savage. On the air, online, and on the go. This is Talk 910 KNEW.
Related to any Tusum Newsom, the incompetent, bumbling left-wing mayor, and the even more incompetent, radical far-left, anti-family, anti-American board of supervisors. There's not a businessman amongst them. And so I'm asking you, the national audience, the international audience, the Savage Nation, to tell me what you would like to tell these bums would bring you back to this city. I'll be the ombudsman for the city of San Francisco. I'll be the ombudsman for my many friends in the restaurant industry to try and get the city back on track. And I want to hear you. I want you to call the show and give the world a view of what you saw when you came here, okay? A parking meter, for 10 cents, you get 2 minutes in a parking meter. 2 minutes in a meter, 10 cents, and then they pounce on you to give you a ticket if you go in shopping somewhere. You hear this? You hear what they're doing to business here? Now you wonder why people don't come into the city. You know the phone number here on the Savage Nation. And then on the other side of the coin, if you do come here, why do you come here? What do you love about this city? We know it has no art. There are individually fine symphonic musicians, but the symphony sounds like a junior high school orchestra warming up, owing to the fact that they had to put certain types of individuals into the symphonic capacity who would normally be teaching in, let us say, San Quentin music studio. But for reasons of affirmative action, they pulled the curtain back and they had to make the symphony look like America. The same goes for theater. There is no theater in San Francisco. It is all high school or sub-high school in par. And that is why there's no arts. Tell me what you come here for otherwise. I'd like to hear it. I know I stay here for a couple of reasons, and I told you what they are. The environment itself is overwhelming. That has not yet been destroyed by the liberals. Eventually, if they could, they probably would see if they could charge you for the fog by the amount that you inhale. But what do you come here for? I'd like to know. Why do you come here? It's anti-family. It's anti-children. It's anti-tourist. Why do you come here? I'd like to know. Modesto, Ozzy, you're on the Savage Nation.
Hi, thanks for taking my call, Dr. Savage. Listen, I have 3 sons. I'm a single father, and I haven't taken my sons back to San Francisco for the last 10 years because downtown is a sewer stinking smell city.
Well, maybe they ought to spend a little money on street sweepers. You know, there was a period in the 1970s when I first moved here when they had street sweepers with rolling carts and brooms, and they actually went around and cleaned the city. And then there was a scandal that they were making $38,000 a year even then. Where are the street sweepers? I never see a truck going by with water on it. I guess they're trying to save the water because it's so environmentally precious. Thank you for the call. I don't know where it is. I know we could have had the Iowa birth here in the city, but Dianne Feinstein voted to make sure it never birthed here. One of the great ships of the Iowa class, battleships of World War II, many people begged to have it birthed in the city, but the anti-military fanatics of the city said, don't come here. This was once a great Navy town. The Navy is not welcome. This was once a great Army town. The Army is not welcome. So who is welcome here? Sacramento, Roxanne, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Michael, I was born and raised in San Francisco, and that was my city, and I explored like you wouldn't believe as a child. And my father, who's 90 years old, did the same thing in San Francisco. And I would like it if call me old-fashioned, but I would think it would be a nice thing if they could clean the excrement off the streets in Union Square.
Oh, my God. You mean the bums are defecating in the streets?
Yeah, they are, and it's pretty bad.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. Well, I know there's at least 30% of the city that would like a business person, man or woman, of any race to take over this city from this incompetent left-wing boob who cannot run anything, let alone a city. Now you go to the supervisors, they make him look like a genius. They're anti-military, they're anti-tourism, they're anti-hotel, they're anti-family, and they expect tourists to keep taking it? And that's what's happening here. They're blaming it on the national economy. That's absurd. New York City, John, welcome to the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Hi, Michael. I've been listening to you for about a year now, and this is something I've always wanted to ask you. How do you live in a city like San Francisco when you are such a true conservative? How do you deal with that around you?
Well, about 30% of the people out here are very conservative. Okay, moving on. San Antonio, Sam, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Hey, I got a great reason to go to San Francisco. It's sailboat racing on the bay.
Bingo. Thank you for bringing it up. I'm a boater, and I know that there's nothing more beautiful. There are actually some of the finest boating in the world is here.
It's the most phenomenal place I think I've ever been.
Well, I'm not a sailor. I am a power boater, but still in all, I love the bay's boating. The air is unlike any other. Look, I have a place in Florida that I go to. I find it too hot to boat down there. You need air conditioning to boat in Florida, by and large. Here, you don't need air conditioning. You know, you need to wear even on a summer day, if I go out in my boat and I go out through the Golden Gate, most of the time I need to wear a sweatshirt. I need to cover my complete, my body and head and all of that. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous.
If you're not dealing with the current, then you're dealing with the wind or the fog or commercial traffic. It's the most dynamic place I've ever been.
It's a great place for sailors. I totally agree with you. I'll be right back. It's the Savage Nation.
Savage. The Savage Nation. Download the podcast at 910KNEW.com.
I could have told you what Obama would do because I've lived in the most radical left-wing city in America. In fact, it's far to the left of France or Germany even. And I've seen one incompetent boob after another take office. I've seen one incompetent supervisor. These are anti-business people who have never run a business. These are anti-tourist people who sneer at you when you come to the city. They tax hotel rooms thinking there's no limit to how many taxes they can put on you, and they kill the goose that lays the golden egg. Now they're worried that the tourist base is dying, the income is dying, and they're trying to say, well, it's due to the national economy. Certainly that is part of the problem. Anyone who denies that would be a fool. But anyone who says that the reason the hotel business is down and the tourist business is down in San Francisco only because of the national recession would be a fool as well. The fact of the matter is there are tourist horror stories that I'm going to open up here on the Savage Nation. If you have a tourist or tourism horror story, I'd like you to call my show so that perhaps these dumbbells who run the city will come to understand that they've killed the golden goose. And maybe the people, the morons of this city, who think that they're oh so tolerant and they want nothing but tolerant individuals running things, will come to understand that they need hard-nosed business people to save this city. Okay? Let's go down to the callers. Let's start in San Francisco itself. Marilyn on KNEW, go ahead, please.
Oh, well, hi. I guess you must know that I'm one of the 30% that's on board with you. I'm with you. I see boondoggle after boondoggle. My poor mother and I are both on disability, and so is my husband, and it's getting more and more exceedingly expensive for all of us mere mortals to live in the city, but we're out in the outer sunset. And just recently, my mother had to spend hard-to-come-by food money so we could build a fence around our garbage because the garbage Gestapo felt, we need to make the city more beautiful for the tourists who come out there.
What do you mean? The garbage Gestapo looks in your cans?
Well, no.
You mean they made you cover your garbage out in the outer sunset, but tourists don't go there?
I know. Well, we're 3 blocks from the zoo, but still, we had to spend $100 and something to build the fence.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The useless employees of the environmental area came out and said your garbage is exposed, cover it with a fence.
Right, exactly. Otherwise, we could get...
And now, how much do you think that employee cost the city? How much a year in benefits and salary and pension funds did that incompetent, moronic college graduate cost the taxpayers?
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Look, I go out to the areas outside the heartland of the city, See, I'm very fortunate in that I have a couple of different places I stay, and one of which is in the city of San Francisco, and I've been there for years and years and years. I've always had a place in the city. I've also always had a place outside of the city. And I move back and forth at will and at whim, so no one knows where I'm going to be when, because I don't know where I'm going to be when. But the point I'm making is I'm very familiar with the streets, probably more so than the politicians, certainly more so than the supervisors, because I actually walk the streets of the city. They are dirtier than they have ever been. I'd like to know where the street cleaners are. I'd like to know where the street sweepers are. I'd like to know why there is so much garbage in the streets. You know, I love Fisherman's Wharf. I told you that. I want to know why the city does not take one of its prime tourist attractions and put it on the top of the list to clean. Why don't they send street sweepers down there? Why don't they force the homeless, give them a broom and a garbage can and tell them the next time you want to check, come here with a can full of garbage and we'll give you a portion of your check?